a row. So there's okay. So hi, welcome to the stream. Today is Magic Monday. Woo! It's only been a month since I streamed. I've had a very bad December, work and all, but uh, today also marks the Lorwyn Eclipse spoiler season, and oh boy, is there cards. I've looked at a few and was like, "Ooh, that's cool," and then immediately went, "Oh no." So we'll go over that later, but for now, I wanted to talk about uh a game mechanic, um, and kind of just put my thoughts out there in the world, um, and just as a disclaimer, I'm no judge in Magic. I just play the game, but I do interpret the rules in my own way, and I just want to put that out there. Uh, and I think it would just be a fun discussion. I might do more of these mechanic heavy discussions uh going forward, and kind of just put that out there. Also, I got I got music in the background, better music that I could actually listen to and don't have to worry about ads. Um so a friend of mine had just recently started playing Magic, has his own pod, and came to me and was like, "Hey, what's your opinion about infect? And more specifically, poison counters, and the whole rule of it being 10 damage and whatnot." And I told him my thoughts about it, which I'll get into later. And he had another discussion with his pod, and they decided on a rule, a rule zero, because he plays commander. Commander, you're allowed to do that. Play When you play commander, please go talk to your pod about um before every game. I would say every game. Like if you meet weekly, every game. Talk about last week. Or after every game, talk about the game. And then decide on a rule if players aren't having fun. Because that's what Commander is about. Commander is about having fun. And there's reasons why I don't play certain decks, because I feel like they're too hot and heavy. Like, I play Alayla Cunning Conqueror as a fairy. I need a cough. Give me a second. There's also been a bug going around. Please take care of yourself. I don't have the bug, but I do get coughs. Uh, Sorry. So, please take care of yourself. Um, so, um, I want to talk about infect, and more specifically, the poison counters and commander. So, I'm just going to go over like a comprehensive rule standpoint, player interpretation, and how you can make it better. Um, for your pod. Remember, I'm talking from my friend's point of view, where their pod's not comfortable with poison because you only need 10 poison counters to knock out a player, and that could be super early in the game too. And funnily enough, I don't know, this little YouTube channel called Tolarian Community College does a show called Shuffle Up and Play. Well, they just had an episode where someone ran rampant with infect, or more specifically, toxic. Uh, so anyway, here we go. Also, Lorwyn's spoiler season. Woo! So from comprehensive point, you get a poison counter in multiple different ways, and it's kind of worded here in this here, right? And you can download the comprehensive rules straight from Magic. Uh yeah. You can download it straight from Magic the Gathering. Just put in Magic the Gathering comprehensive rules, and you get this giant PDF document of 200, 300 plus pages, right? And they update it with everything, every new thing that adds. And I kind of want to do a series where I talk about mechanics, and this is kind of the first, right? So I also want to see this rule here, but a poison counter is a representation of having poison, if that makes sense. God damn it, the song is going to be okay. Whatever. So a poison counter is a representation of having a physical representation of having poison applied to you, the player. Poison counter, a counter that may be given to a player. Obvious. It represents what poisonous does. It's a keyword ability, which, funnily enough, does not show up in keywords for Scryfall. Weird. That causes a player to get poison counters. Now, a poison counter may look like this, where this is from Bloomberg, where it's just a Phyrexian symbol because Phyrexians were the first ones to really popularize poison. But a player with 10 or more poison counters loses the game. Okay, fair. Now, poison was created a long time ago, and by long time ago, I mean early 2000s. It was actually invented in the set Legends, released in June 94. Okay. Uh, and the first one, funnily enough, in my the first ones to use poison was Pit Scorpion. I actually have this card, or had this card. Ian Miller here. Where if Pit Scorpion damages a player, he or she gets a poison counter. Then states if any player has 10 or more poison counters, he or she loses the game. Kind of simple, and the concept around poison is kind of, yeah. Okay, I have this version. I have the 4th edition version of Pit Scorpion. But this, like I said, was the first instance of poison. And a lot of games back then, like, the concept of Commander was, I think, conceived around 98. But poison was based on a 60 card, 20 life type combat system. I like the song. Had in time. That makes sense. Clock towers beneath the sea. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, um 20 life, so half of that was 10, and it was an alternate win condition, and there was really only 2 cards that did it, which was Pit Scorpion and another one. You weren't going to see it. And then New Phyrexia came out. Lorwyn came out. Lorwyn came out with a mechanic called Wither, Wither here on Cinderbones says it deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, which is an interesting mechanic because one, it they used to be separate entities, but +1/+1 counters used to be a separate entity from a -1/-1 counter. Now they kind of counteract each other. So if you have one of each, you just -1/+1/+1 counter, right? To indicate it. So if you have 1/+1/+1 counter, hit the creature with Cinderbones, and now it don't have any 1/1 counters on it. And I think that is also in the rules about -1/-1 +1/+1 counters. Whoa. Damage dealt to creatures by a source with Wither and or Infect, because I was getting to that. Goes over that. If a permanent has both a +1/+1 counter and a -1/-1 counter, N+1/+1 and N -1/-1 counters are removed from it as a state-based action, where N is the smaller of the number, so you take the difference, kinda. So if you put 2 on there, 2 -1/-1 counters on a creature, but it has only 1, you take the difference and the larger one has stays. So now I'll have -1/-1 counter on it. And I like Wither. Wither was an interesting concept. I actually run Kelrath Knight, which is stupid. Did I get it from Kel Knight? Yeah, Kelrath Knight. This card from Shadowmoor. I love this card. Flying Wither. Creatures your opponents control with counters on them can attack or block. This card is nuts in Modern Magic. Well, I think it's nuts in Modern Magic. Yes, it's 5 cost, but it's a 5 cost for a 3/3 with flying. But the fact that it has this creatures your opponents control with counters on them can't attack or block. Do you know how many counters are put on in Magic? I want to talk about it. Anyway, Infect came out, I think, Mirrodin Besieged, because it was during Mirrodin block. Pardon me. So, Inkmoth Nexus is one of the more popular ways of getting infect damage onto a player. This is what we call creature land. Turns into a creature, smacks a 1. It has infect, which is both wither and poisonous at the same time. So if it hits a player, it puts a poison counter on them. If it hits a creature, it puts a -1/-1 counter on it. Kind of simple and self-explanatory in that way. Little awkward with like trample. Yeah, that was a little awkward. But I don't want to get into combat shenanigans with other keywords right now. So Infect came out, and then like Bladed Ancient is another like common form of it's another common card that uses Infect because it's unblockable. Icarats. So when Icarats enters the battlefield, each player gets a poison counter. And then it has Infect itself. And Infect matters from its creature's damage. So if the power goes up, you do more infect damage. This became relatively problematic, especially in Commander, because Commander uses 40 life, 40, as, and it's 100 card singleton, but you only need to do 10 poison? Was a little weird to me. It's, you can play against poison, but a lot of times at a table, and I've been at a table where a player tried to play a deck that was centered around oil counters and proliferate them. I'll get into proliferate in a little bit, but they ended up shifting that deck into poison because they really liked the poison mechanic. The problem with poison, though, is that you only need 10 of them to do to knock out a player, and there's multiple ways of gaining extra counters onto creatures or onto players like proliferate. Blight Belly Rat, or sorry, let me get into this though. So with all will be one Phyrexia, they were like, we want to bring back infect, but we don't want to make it infect. So they made toxic, which took away the wither part of it, but kept the poison and attached a keyword number to it. And by keyword number, I mean this right here, where toxic 1 means you only give that player 1 poison counter no matter how much damage you do to them. So, and then this creature, I found it kind of just looking for an early toxic creature that you could play, right? This has toxic 1, deals 1 poison, but also 2 damage. So no matter how much damage you do to a player, you'll always infect 1 toxic with this 1 creature. Now, Phyrexian Mites exist, and they deal toxic damage, or they can deal toxic damage, but they can't block. They're just little guys. I do highly recommend looking at the newest Shuffle Up and play as of January 5th, 2026. If you're watching this in the future, hi. I get the episode number. Episode 93 of Shuffle Up and Play. There was a player that played toxic specifically, not so much infect, but toxic, and kind of ran rampant with that, which, oh boy, and they used Phyrexian Mites for that, which was very smart idea, but so the problem with poison is it is a counter. You apply it to a player, and it is in the form of a counter, kind of like a 1/1 counter, a death touch counter, indestructible counter, blah 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 blah. Those kinds of counters, right? That's where Colwrath Knight becomes a shining star with all those other keyword counters because they're counters. So. Atraxa's Praetor's Voice says at the beginning of your end step, proliferate. It has Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. A lot of players like to make Atraxa as an infect deck because you can proliferate on every end step, and it's hard to get rid of Atraxa. I mean, she's a 4/4 Angel Horror with Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. She has a lot of words on her card for being a 4/4 for 4. But a lot of players like to make Atraxa into that, and my friend uses Atraxa as a Phyrexian. Oh, funnily enough, it is a Phyrexian Angel Horror, where on this version of her it just says Angel Horror. But that was Double Masters. Yeah, she wasn't a Phyrexian until this one here. But anyway, errata is yay. But choose any number of permanents and or players. Give them each another counter of each kind already there. So yeah. She can proliferate poison counters as well, because again, they are a counter applied to a player for representation of poison. So my friend knew of this when building his deck. However, he wanted to build a Phyrexian tribal deck, or not tribal, kindred deck. Sorry, old terms. But in a Phyrexian kindred, you have to remember a lot of Phyrexians have infect just because they're Phyrexian, and New Phyrexia was a thing. I haven't played against his deck. He reluctantly will not let me play against him for some reason. I've been trying for months. But his table pod does not like poison. And it's partly because he played this deck. They're like, 10 poison. What do we do against this, right? 10 poison to low? Cromer? Go away, Cromer. But his player tables weren't having fun with poison. And I've been on the receiving end of a table not enjoying a deck I've played. I play a Layla Cunning Conqueror. If you know a Layla, there we go. So, a Layla, whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, create a 1/1 black fairy rogue, creature with flying. I've also played this deck wrong because I had a lord out and tried and skull clamped a few of my tokens that did not die. Yeah, my bad. She's a 2/4, so she doesn't do a lot of damage, but whenever I deal a damage, when one or more fairies you control deal combat damage to a player, and I can deal 3, goad target creature that player controls. And goad says that creature cannot attack you and must attack each combat if able. So, and I play fairies. Fairies are tricksters. They're kind of jerkish. Now, I'm trying to think because, like, I remember my pod. I played this deck once against the pod, and I could feel the energy from the pod that was like, I don't really like this. And there was a couple newer players too. So I personally made the decision to set this deck aside and only pull it out once in a while. And like I've been wanting to play this deck again just because I like it. Lorwyn's coming up. Fairies are in Lorwyn. There's a new Lorwyn Fairy-esque card that is kind of nuts. But Layla, so I've been on the receiving end of my player pod not enjoying a deck I played. So I just played a different one. And I can't speak to every pod that might be like, oh, you'll never play that deck against us again. Or don't play that deck, multiple times against us. The way my friend resolved it with his pod was he had a discussion about it. He said, hey, I want to continue playing Atraxa. However, I know Poison is not very welcomed at the table. And I even had a conversation with another one of the podmates because he is one of my closer or he is also a close friend of mine. And I was like, hey, what's your opinion of infect or poison? And he's like, I hate it. Get rid of it. I don't like it. It's like, okay, well, what's your idea? Like, why do you hate it? And he's like, well, it's just too few in Commander. Specifically Commander. It is too few amount of damage or amount of poison to knock out a player. And granted, poison can come in different forms of from like infect, the most common way, toxic here, or poisonous from pit scorpion and whatnot. However, you only need one, and then you can start proliferating it onto players until they're dead, right? And in a Traxa deck, you can proliferate a lot because that's what you're doing. You would build a deck out that has a lot of proliferate when a creature dies, like this Blight Belly Rat, right? When it dies, proliferate. When a creature enters, proliferate. When a creature deals damage to a player, proliferate. At the beginning of your end step, proliferate. That's a lot of proliferate things, and you can immediately like knock someone out, right? So, what's the solution? My friend wants to continue playing this deck because he likes the Phyrexian aesthetic and wants to continue playing a Phyrexian tribal, knowing that they have mostly infect keywords. But the pod doesn't like it. So what do you do? My friend thought of, why not just increase the amount of poison counters that a player can get? Okay, what do you increase it to, though? His pod decided half starting life total. So at 40 life, half of that is 20. You need 20 poison counters in order to lose the game. And his pod apparently, I got word that his pod agreed to that, which I think is great. I understand, and granted, it's a newer pod, fresher players. They all started at the same time, like started playing at the same time. They're still learning rules, but they also still want to have fun. Now, what happens when you gain a bajillion life? Because there's a 2-card combo I know of. Let me show you one of my favorite combos. So this is Spike Feeder. Spike Feeder is a very simple card, very cheap card because no one plays it. Also shout out Spike Feeders. So Spike Feeder enters battlefield with 2/1/1 counters on it. Very simple. It's a 0/0. Dies to Elish Norn. For 2 generic and remove a 1/1 counter from it, I can put a 1/1 counter on a target creature. So you basically move the counter, right? Unless you have doubling effects, which is another thing. Or I could just remove a 1/1 counter from it and gain 2 life. Let me go over here to the Blight Belly. Let me show you another card. Archangel Thune. Has flying lifelink, but whenever I gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature I control. These 2 creatures alone create an infinite combo to gain me infinite amount of life. If I were to destroy one of these creatures during the infinite combo, because, say, you draw a card, but when a player gains life for some reason, I don't think there's a card that allows you to do that, but who knows? Pokemon music. I love Pokemon. You've been on this channel before. You've probably seen me play Pokemon Legends ZA. Pretty good. I think ZA's good game. Small tangent. DLC's I haven't finished it, but it's okay. But so what happens when you gain a bunch of life through the Soul Sisters, Essence Warden and Soul Warden, through other life gain means? Like, what do you do at that point? Well, there's up to 3 ways minimum that a player can get removed from the game. They don't have a library anymore. And they attempt to draw a card. They draw the card, or they attempt to draw a card. They lose the game as a state-based action. That is part of the game. The next is the next way is commander damage. Commander damage is specific to the commander format, and commander damage is specific to commander, which is what we're talking about. And you have to deal 21. Why it's 21, I have no idea. I would have to look at the philosophy document, and I don't want to right now. But 21 damage from any one single commander will knock out a player. Again, I don't know why it was like that, and you can't remove commander damage from yourself, to my knowledge. Or heal commander damage. And then the third way is through poison. If a player gains a bajillion life, one of your only ways is poison if you have it in your deck. So at that point, complaining about poison damage is kind of irrelevant at that point, because it's like, oh, I want to do the thing in my deck, but I gain a bajillion life for no reason, and yeah, also I run Sanguine Bond. So you gain a bunch of life and damage all the players, right? There's a new card coming out that actually prevents life gain. Again, I'll get into that in a little bit, because I want to talk about that. So my thing about infect is work with if you're in a, like, if you're playing competitively, don't bring it up, because it's going to be 10 or 10 poison damage. That's it, right? That's part of the rules of competitive. If you're playing in a casual pod, especially with commander, please talk to your pod, because your pod can form its own house rules in commander. That is what commander is for. Commander was made on the principle of sitting down, playing the game you love, Magic the Gathering, and having fun with your friends. If you all are not having fun, then, like, what's the point? So make it fun. Make it like 20 poison counters will knock out a player. I think that's fair. Yes, it's more, and yes, the life gain player can still run rampant, but you still have a way to knock them out. And there's also no other way to remove poison counters, from my knowledge. So, so I think, talking to your pod, especially if you're a newer player, looking to start Magic, and you're like, oh man, poison counters kind of intimidate me. Don't let it. Um, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get ran over by goblins. So, but in that off chance that poison does come up and you are not having fun, like I've been on the receiving end of a mind slaver, and the person that mind slaved me was having fun and I wasn't. I don't like mind slaver effects. Like I don't like Emrakul, the one Emrakul that takes over a player's turn. I don't like it because it's a mind slaver effect. But with my experience now, I can kind of see a little bit more into it. Plus, if I get mind slavered, there's should be a reason why I got mind slaver, not because I think your deck is has good cards, right? Like the person that took over me was not a good magic he was a good magic player, but he was not a good person. I'll put it that way. Bum. Hello? No? Okay. So like talk to your pod. I think that's the gist of this. Talk to your pod. Poison, like, it is an alternate win con. That's how you can win a game. But if you're a newer pod, not comfortable with poison yet, maybe think about increasing it, because you want your players to all have fun, and that includes the person playing poison, right? They want to do their thing, but also let other players do their things. Like if you are that poison player, let the other players have their fun too. I mean, also swap up your decks. I play precons all the time. I have multiple precons. Buy precons, please. New precons coming out. Woohoo! Ashling the Limited is kind of gross. So now there's a new card that's coming out. Let's see, what is it called again? Can I find this here? Aha! Hornsong Aria. So this is a new spoiled card. Hi, welcome to spoiler territory. If you don't want to see spoilers, please do not. I mean, you kind of already saw it if you're watching the stream. And if you're on YouTube, oh well. But if I'm going to talk into spoiler territory, if you're not into that, bye. Thank you for coming. Otherwise, here's a new card. For 2 black and 1, you get a legendary enchantment that says players can't draw cards or gain life. That knocks out a lot of strategies, especially the gain life or the draw cards part, right? Draw cards, you get a lot of information from just drawing cards, so buy blue decks. Gain life, buy white decks. That's all I really got to say to that one. And then at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player loses 3 life. So they can't gain life, but they can definitely lose it. And then searches their library for a card, puts it into their hand, doesn't reveal it. So you do not reveal it. So and then shuffles their library, right? New templating to shorten that, right? Newer templating. I don't remember when that template came in. But, fairy card, kind of stupid because you can just go find an answer for anything, especially if you're playing black or blue. And I say blue because there's an artifact by the name of Mindlock Orb, which says players can't search libraries. So if you have Mindlock Orb out, or you have Morning Song Aria out, oh god, it's music. It's music reference. Sorry, I'll talk about that in a second. But if you have Morn Song Aria out, you could just go search for the Mindlock Orb. Put it into your hand. Or any creature that you want, or any enchantment that you want, right? I play a fairy deck. I might want Bitter Blossom if I don't already have it. But why would I want to lose more life at the beginning of my thing? But if Mindlock Orb is out, then you just lose 3 life. And you can't draw, and you can't gain life. So you effectively stall the game until every player is dead, and you better have the most life. And they better have no creatures. So, and Scott Fisher here. So I run a Hatsune Miku Child of Alara deck based on the fact that every card in the deck is a music reference in some way, including lands except for basics. So I had a stretch for exactly one card, and that's Solemn Simulacrum. Because solemn is a music term. And I did have to stretch a little bit for some other cards. But I also run the entire Miku secret layers. So every single Hatsune Miku card is in that deck, including Soul Ring and Command Tower and Electromancer, Snapcaster Mage. Oh god, I wish I had that card. I would not play it if I owned it, but here we are. What happened to my music? Continue. There we go. Ecruteak City. So this card can go into it because it's a song reference. Morn Song Aria. Not only does it say song in the name, in morning, a morn song is a dreadful sound, but it's also an aria. Arias are music. So I can run this. Great. I have another card ammo for that deck. Yay. So Lorwyn Eclipse is coming out. Lorwyn is my favorite set. My favorite plane. I run a 5-color elemental deck based on Horde of Notions, and it will stay that way. I also plan on getting the 5-color elemental Commander Recon. Because, oh boy, Ashling the Limitless here. Can I zoom in on her? A little bit. Elemental spells you cast from your hand have Evoke 4. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what elemental you have, it's Evoke 4. But whenever I sacrifice a non-token elemental, I create a token of it. The token gains haste until end of turn, which this can actually be kind of silly. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice it unless you pay Wooerg. This creates a 5-color combo Oh, that's Una. Um, where, like, if I evoke Deceit... Oh, wait a minute. Can I get both effects? Oh. So, I just thought of something. And this is what happens when you play Magic and you start realizing stuff. Ashling creates Evoke 4 on all elementals in my hand. This, if I have a Deceit in my hand, I can pay 2 white or 2 blue to spend it if it was cast, to cast it for Evoke, and 2 black. Get both effects. Comes out, sacrifices itself. I get both effects, which is return up to one return up to one other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So bounce the creature, or bounce the permanent for 2 blue. And I also get the reveal effect. That is kind of powerful, but it is 4 mana to do so. And then there's Ashling's command, which probably comes in this deck. Create a token that's a copy of target elemental I control. Alright. Enters the battlefield, triggers stuff. Hi, Muldrifter, how are you today? Target player draws 2 cards. Usually you would target yourself. Creates 2 treasure tokens. Or deals 2 damage to each creature target player controls. Oh, okay. Urbanized Crescendo? Wait a minute. That's a Convoke? Oh. Convoke. Which means that you can tap creatures to help pay for the cost, and their color includes, So if I tap a blue creature, I can get an island from it. To cast a Distant Melody. That's replacing Distant Melody in my commander deck. My elemental deck. It's also a fucking Sog name. Great. Deepway Navigator. I saw this earlier and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Behold an elf and exile it. What the fuck is behold? I remember that key term from a while ago, but let's see if Scryfall can ongoing previews. Okay, so it was updated today. These are the... So, Eclipse releases on 23rd. Look at your LGS week before. See if they have anything going on for it, right? So, I'm just going to go card by card, kind of read what they do, or what they do. I might read them to myself. So, Abigail, for hybrid white-black. And this might be why they were talking about hybrid cards, because they brought back a lot of hybrid. Because Eclipse had hybrid. But flying first strike lifelink, when Abigail enters the battlefield, up to one other target creature loses all abilities. Put a flying counter, a first strike counter, and a lifelink counter on that creature. And that's a permanent effect. But if you have a creature that can move counters, like from one creature to another, and then blink that creature and then put those counters back, that sounds like a lot of work, though. So, oh, okay, Giants. Bree of the Clan Stout Arm. Oh! This is the Stout Arm clan that Brian Stout Arm comes from. So, White and 1, tap it. Another target creature you control gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, exile cards from top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Okay. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Okay. If the spell's mana value is less than or equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Otherwise, put it in your hand. That's kind of cool. I like that. Chronicle of Victory. Choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +2/+2 and first strike trample. Oh, okay. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, draw a card. Alright, cool. Another one of those effects. Great. I might replace the card for 6, though. I don't know. Curious Colossus. Another giant. Warrior for 7. You get a 7/7. Also, this song kind of slaps. What the hell? You don't even hear my music. Damn it. Here we go. I've been talking in silence. When this creature enters, each creature target opponent controls loses all abilities and becomes a coward. In addition to its other types, it has base power and toughness 1/1. For 7 to do that, you're pretty much dead by that point. Okay. As this artifact enters, choose Elemental, Elf, Fairy, Giant, Goblin, Kithkin, Merfolk, or Treefolk, which are all the races in Lorwyn. Whenever a permanent you control of the chosen type enters, that gain a life. Okay. 2 and sacrifice. This sacrifice the Dawn Blessed Pendant. Return target card from your of the chosen type from your graveyard to your hand. Ooh. So Deepway Navigator. Alright, cool. Flash, when this creature enters, untap each other merfolk I control. Pretty powerful. However, I can't run in Hawkball, because Hawkball is green-blue, not blue-white. As long as you attacked with 3 or more merfolk this turn, merfolk you control get +1/+0. It would also be kind of powerful. Grub's Command. Ooh, another command type card for goblins in black-red. Ooh. Create a token that's a copy of target goblin I control. Or you control. Okay. Creatures target player controls gets +1/+1 and haste until end of turn. And that can target any player. That's cool. Destroy target artifact or creature. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Target player mills 5 cards, then puts each goblin card milled this way into their hand. If only it was red. Not red-black. Pin binding. I have the fucking hiccups. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures that enter the battlefield under your control this turn. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 green-white Kithkin creature. Okay. Mirror Mind Crown. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, the first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of equipped creature. Yeah, create 15 tokens? Yeah, all of them are Llanowar elves. Check. Personify. Oh yeah, shapeshifters and changelings are also here. Exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Create a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature token with changeling as every creature type. Sanara, an innovative first year. Okay, this is a goblin sorcerer in red-blue. Okay. At the beginning of your... has Vivid on it. Okay. At the beginning of your first main phase, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X non-land cards for X's number of colors among permanents you control. Oh. For each of those colors, you may exile a card of that color from among the revealed cards, then shuffle. You may cast the exile cards this turn. That's kind of cool. Decent in a 5-color deck. A little weird, though. Thought Weft. Lieutenant. For green-blue. Ithgan Soldier. Or green-white. Ithgan Soldier. Whenever this creature or another Kithkin you control enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. Okay. Tristan. Death Touch. Whenever this creature enters or transforms, mill 3 cards. So it can flip back and forth. Then if there's an elf in your graveyard, that gains 2 life. Okay. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may pay black if you do transform. Death Touch, so then it has green transform. Whenever this creature transforms into this, mill 3 cards, then you may exile an elf card from your graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. Ooh. Is this? Oh, this is the Windfish. Sounds a little bit like Clock Towers Under the Sea, but Vibrance. I saw this card and I was like, what the hell? It's so vibrant. And derpy looking. When this creature enters, if black, or if white, or red, if red was spent to cast it, deals 3 damage to any creature. If green was spent, search the library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand. It doesn't say what kind of land. Oh no. I want to run this in Yuma. Land fetching. Just boink. Oh, Bloom Tender? Anyway, Vinebred Brawler. This creature must be blocked if able. Okay, a must block. Whenever this creature attacks another target elf you control, it's +2/+1 until end of turn. A little weird. Elf Accessity. Virulent Emissary for 1 has Death Touch. It's 1/1. Whenever another creature you control enters, you gain a life. Oh, a Soul Sister with Death Touch. That's cool. Voracious Tome Skimmer. It's a fairy rogue, blue-black, and has blue-black hybrids. 2, 3, flying. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, you may pay 1 life if you do draw a card. Layla. I'm going to skip that song because it's still too early. Aurora Awakener, Giant Druid. Has Vivid. Okay, Vivid's going to be just a new word. Okay, it's this Aurora Awakener is kind of like the last one. Reveal X, where X is the number of colored permanents you control. Put any number of those permanents cards onto the battlefield, then put the rest revealed cards on the bottom of your library in a random order for 7. Flipping this is actually kind of cool. Okay, Bloom Tender. Tap for each color among permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. It's not an elemental, though. It's an elf. So, my issue with... not this, but with my Horde of Notions deck is I starve for Wooburg. I want Wooburg as much as possible. It's the reason why I put Morophon in the deck, to cast my commander for free. Now, it has an ability that says I may play target elemental card from my graveyard for Wooburg. I want to create Wooburg as much as possible. Anyway, Blossoming Defense. For 1 green, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and hexproof till end of turn. That's pretty powerful. As a pump spell, ooh, that's powerful. Hexproof? Yes, please. Champions of the Perfect. As an additional cost to cast a spell, behold an elf and exile it. Exile an elf you control or an elf card from your hand. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. When this creature leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. Okay. New Changeling, Chompling Changeling. Looks kind of adorable. Also, it's a wall. Changeling. Whenever this creature enters, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. For 3. Ooh. Okay. Crossroads Watcher. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature gets +1/+0. End of turn. Okay. Token generation with green-white. Yes, please. When this creature enters, return up to 1 target creature you control to its owner's hand. Oh, yeah. Scarecrows are also in here because I did see a scarecrow. The spell can't be countered. It's a 2-cost, can't be countered. Has ward pay to life. What the fuck? Spells you control can't be countered. Other creatures you control have pay to life. What the hell is this card? Hexing Squelcher. That's a powerful card. Okay, anyway. Lava Leaper. All creatures have haste. Not just your own. Whenever a player taps a basic land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. Oh. Lava Leaper, it's kind of interesting. For 3, but this is for 2, and has a lot of words on it. Lizalana Informant, when it enters or dies, surveil 1. I like to see surveil as a keyword, a more common keyword, rather than scribe, because it's like putting it in my graveyard is more beneficial than putting it on the bottom of my library. If I don't want a card. Can be more valuable, sorry. You may put target creature card with total power and toughness 5 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. That creature gains haste at the beginning of your next end step. Sacrifice that creature. Oh. Meek attack. It's kind of like a sneak attack. Ah, get it? Meek, sneak. Seer. Deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Has this been a card? Nope. This is new. For 2. Oh. That's a new lightning bolt. But instead of doing 3 damage, it does 4. Also, that's a tree folk on fire. Selfless safe rate. Elf Warrior has Convoke, and this is where I was telling you about the Convoke reminder text. When this creature enters, choose a creature type. Other permanents you control of that type gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Too bad it's an elf. Sorry, I kind of just read these last two. I'm going to start skimming cards here. Oh, okay. I want to talk about this in a little bit. Okay, cowards are coming back. Oh, that's Curious Colossus again. That 7/7 that does that. Okay. Anyway, Dream Caesar has creature. When this creature enters, you may blight one. If you do, each opponent discards a card. So to blight, you put a -1/-1 counter on a creature I control. Okay. Blight kind of replaces Wither a little bit. Okay, that's just Elder Ante. Explosive Prodigy is kind of nuts for elementals. Sorry. I'm kind of looking at something for a second. Um Ugh. 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 That's cool. Mornthog Aria, like I talked about earlier. Kristen in both of its forms. And then this motherfucker, because he's from Lorwyn. Oko, Lorwyn Siege. Or Liege. He has a fucking fairy here, a Birds of Paradise here. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may pay green. If you do, transform Oko. Alright. I'll look at the other side in a second. Up to one target creature gains all creature types. Okay. Or +1 target creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn. Oko Shadowmoor Scion. Okay. If you don't know, Eclipse is a fight between Lorwyn and Shadowmoor, which is on the same plane of Lorwyn. So, yeah, well, have fun with that. At the beginning of your first main phase, pay blue. You may pay blue if you do transform Oko. Okay. Oh, and this is all the minus abilities. This is cool for a Planeswalker. Mill 3 cards. If you do, you may put a permanent card from among them into your hand. Okay. Create 2 green elk creature tokens because he loves his elks. Or choose a creature type. You get an emblem with creatures of chosen type. Get +3/+3 in vigilance and have hexproof. Oh. And it's an emblem. Emblems are non-removable. But I don't want to run Oko. He's too sexy for himself. And then, my god, so the reason why I love Lorwyn so much is the land. And, my god, do some of these lands just are fucking gorgeous. Except for that plains. I don't really care for those plains, or this plains. But, like, this swamp, gorgeous. This one has a skull in it. That's probably a goblin house. This one's water. This one's also water. And then I'm just going to go over this one, even though it's super old. Dose of Dawnglow. Oh yeah, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then if it isn't your main phase, Blight 2. That's kind of cool. So, that was all of Lorwyn. Oh my gosh. I love Lorwyn so much. So, I don't think I saw any tree folk I mean, I guess like shapeshifters or the changelings are uh I guess the changelings are tree folk, if you want to go that way. The only tree folk I saw was being lit on fire out of today's spoilers. But the set's actually looking really nice. So, yeah, that's Lorwyn. And I think that's all I have for Magic Monday today. Like I said, I wanted to talk about infect because I think players should have a Rule Zero discussion with their pod, or if you're in a non-competitive format or non-competitive environment, kind of talk to your players and just have fun. Having fun is the point of the game. And then kind of just go over the Lorwyn Eclipse spoilers that came out today. Because Monday is when they release stuff. I believe my LGS is doing something on the 16th. So if you're looking to get into Lorwyn Eclipse, look at your LGS, see if they do stuff early, and try to go to a pre-release. Pre-release it. I haven't been to a pre-release in so long, but I know that they're still pretty fun, and the community around it is really good. And then it also helps the LGS community kind of thrive and flourish. Lorwyn Eclipse doesn't release until the 23rd of this month. Go pick yourself up a deck, one of the two commander decks. Unfortunately, there is only two. There's the Elementals and then Anti-Ul, which do I know where they are? Oh, also the rest of the Shocklands are coming in as flip cards. Oh, that place is on fire. Blitter Boom Bearer, which is a Blitter Blossom on a stick. So the creatures or the commanders weren't really. So Antiul the Curse Witch, which is Goblin Warlock, Goblin Kindred probably kind of deck based around the Blight mechanic. Whenever one or more -1/-1 creatures are put on a creature, draw a card. If you control that creature, if you don't, its controller loses life. Loses a life. So it's probably based around the -1/-1 counters, placing them on creatures and whatnot. It's also in Junk, whatever you want to call it, or Jund, not Junk. Junk is Abzan. It's in Jund. Uh oh, Resurrections from Celeste. Um, Jund is famous for being kind of gross, graveyardy stuff, and then there's Elementals, which is all 5 colors. And I believe that they're gonna like reprint Mole Drifter and have a bunch of other unique elementals. I might even get a Nyx Bloom agent. One can hope. I doubt it, but I can wish. Uh so if you like today's stream, please follow. It does help. I'm trying to do these Magic Mondays as long as my mental fatigue is not through the ground. I know I started a bit late today, and that's because I did get off work late. Or my work schedule changed again. I now get off at 6 p.m. PST. Great. But if you liked it, please follow. Every follow counts. If you're watching, please say hi. I like chatters. Um, I like to have a conversation with people, especially if you're new to Magic. I do want people to play Magic. If you're curious about Magic, I know a lot of rule about the rules because I looked into Exalted once, and that's all it took. Um, if you're following or if you're watching this from the future on YouTube, hi, I'm Ayuki. I like Magic. I like Magic as a concept and as a video game. Jeez, listen to me. Um, I like Magic as a concept, and I like Magic as a card game. Uh, my philosophy upon Magic is that Magic is everywhere. You just need to know that it's there. Um, and well, if you've ever created anything, ever helped someone, ever uh picked up something off the ground, you have done a magical act, and I believe that to my heart of hearts. So, if you're watching this, hi, I'm trying to stream more on Twitch, at Ayuki102 because I can't get rid of my numbers, but come in, say hi, and if you like this whole discussion about keywords, we're gonna have more stuff later on. Avatar just came out month and a half ago. Ran rampant in standard. I actually really enjoyed the Is It deck. I wanted to talk about it during Magic Worlds, but that weekend my mental fatigue hit an all-time low. Huh? Yeah, yeah, music. Okay. But my mental fatigue hit an all-time low, and I was not having it. And it was the holiday season. I really didn't want to talk to anyone. So I hope everyone's New Year is starting off pretty good. And hope to see you next week because I plan on doing more of this. Next week I might talk about the airbending or the bending mechanics. And I made a deck called Carbender, based around Toph, the first metal bender. Um, that was a few weeks ago. If you're watching this on Twitch, hi. Um, and that's over on YouTube. If you've missed that, under my Magic Monday playlist. This one might be up tomorrow evening, depending on when I get home. And then I do like to play video games occasionally. I know my schedule says Kirby Air Riders. I I enjoy Kirby Air Riders. I really do. It's just hard to stream. So yeah. Um, but I hope everyone has a good night. I know it's been short, but and y'all have a good night.